Cowboys Nation is waking up to one of those moments in the offseason where everything feels connected, even when the headlines are coming from different directions. While the league watches the coaching carousel spin, there is a growing sense that what happens in New York could quietly reshape the balance of power in the conference. The noise around John Harbaugh potentially landing with the Giants keeps getting louder, and if that move becomes official, it instantly changes how serious that franchise looks moving forward. A coach with that resume stepping into a division rival always raises eyebrows, because it forces everyone else to think long-term, not just about the next season, but about identity, culture, and sustained competitiveness from a Cowboys perspective. That possibility sparks debate for obvious reasons. Harbaugh represents stability, toughness, and a clear football vision. Some see that and worry about a rival suddenly finding its footing, while others question whether his style would translate in the same way in a new environment. Either way, it is a reminder that the NFC East is not standing still. Teams are making aggressive moves, and Dallas cannot afford to treat this offseason as business as usual. That urgency shows up most clearly in the Cowboys' search for a new defensive coordinator. This is not a quiet or rushed process. It is expansive, deliberate, and honestly refreshing compared to how things have been handled in the past. The list of candidates keeps growing, and with each new name, the picture becomes clearer about what the organization is actually looking for. Youth, adaptability, and a modern defensive mindset appear to be at the top of the priority list, even if that means embracing some uncertainty. One name that has generated real intrigue is Christian Parker. His background checks several important boxes without feeling recycled. He has worked extensively with defensive backs and passing game concepts, which matters in a league that continues to tilt heavily toward offense. His experience across different systems and coaching trees stands out, especially his exposure to defenses that emphasize structure, discipline, and disguising coverage. There is a noticeable blend of professional and collegiate influence in his resume, and that combination often produces coaches who are flexible thinkers rather than rigid system followers. What makes Parker especially interesting is not just what he has done, but what he has not done yet. He has never held the defensive coordinator title, and in the past, that alone might have removed him from serious consideration in Dallas. This time, it feels different. There is a sense that the Cowboys are finally willing to invest in upside rather than chasing familiarity. That kind of mindset shift matters, because it signals a willingness to evolve rather than repeat cycles that have already shown their ceiling. The same theme carries over when you look at Charlie Bolin. His recent role with the Giants put him in a challenging position, stepping into responsibility without the comfort of long-term security. Week after week, his defense showed growth, aggression, and creativity, particularly in how he maximized the strengths of his personnel. That ability to adapt on the fly is something teams value more than ever, especially when injuries and roster turnover are unavoidable realities. Bolin's roots in coaching linebackers and his exposure to aggressive defensive philosophies add another layer to his profile. He is not a splashy name, and that is exactly why he fits into this broader search. The Cowboys are not just hunting for the most recognizable option. They are trying to identify the coach who can elevate the unit over multiple seasons, not just generate a short-term spark. Whether or not Bolin ends up being the final choice, his inclusion in the process reinforces that this is a genuine evaluation, not a token interview cycle. Zooming out, the sheer volume of interviews tells its own story. Dallas is casting a wide net, and that matters because it increases the odds of finding the right fit, not just the safest one. Each candidate brings a different angle, whether it is experience with defensive lines, secondaries, or linebacker development. The overlapping connections between these coaches also highlight how intertwined the league has become. With ideas flowing from one staff to another and evolving along the way, there is also a strategic layer to how this process is unfolding. Early conversations are happening remotely, allowing the team to filter through philosophies, communication styles, and overall vision before narrowing the field. That approach keeps options open, especially when certain high-profile candidates may not need to go through every preliminary step. It is a patient strategy, and patience has not always been a defining trait of this organization. One name that continues to hover over the discussion is Brian Flores. His defensive work has earned respect across the league, and his contract situation opens doors that were previously closed. The appeal is obvious. Flores brings intensity, clarity, and a proven ability to transform defenses quickly for Dallas. The question is less about capability and more about timing and alignment. Flores has aspiration beyond coordinating, and that reality complicates things. Still, the idea of Flores in charge of the Cowboys' defense is hard to ignore. His schemes are aggressive, without being reckless, and his units tend to play fast and confident. Even the fact that other teams are moving quickly to speak with him adds pressure. It creates that familiar feeling of wondering whether Dallas is waiting too long, or simply playing the long game. What is clear is that this search is about more than filling a vacancy. It is about defining what the Cowboys' defense will look like in the next era. Will it be built around speed and coverage versatility, or around pressure and physicality? Will it lean on complex disguises or straightforward execution? The candidates being interviewed suggest that the answer may not be one extreme or the other, but a blend designed to counter the offenses dominating the league right now. As fans watch rivals make moves and headlines shift daily, the temptation is to demand immediate answers. But this phase of the offseason is about information gathering, alignment, and conviction. The Cowboys are exploring options that would have been ignored in the past, and that alone marks a meaningful change. The real test will come when the search narrows and decisions have to be made, because getting the hire right matters far more than winning the offseason conversation. As the process continues, the layers behind these interviews start to matter just as much as the names themselves. This is not simply about who has the flashiest resume or the loudest supporters online. It is about alignment with where the Cowboys believe the league is heading defensively. Offenses are faster, quarterbacks are more comfortable attacking space, and coordinators who cannot adjust tend to get exposed quickly. That reality is pushing Dallas to look beyond traditional comfort zones and consider coaches who think differently, even if they come with less conventional backgrounds. One of the most interesting aspects of this search is how interconnected the candidates are through shared philosophies rather than shared job titles. Many of these coaches come from systems that emphasize flexibility, post-snap movement, and forcing quarterbacks to hesitate. That hesitation is everything in today's game. A defense does not need to dominate physically on every snap if it can consistently disrupt timing and decision-making. That idea shows up repeatedly when you study the coaching trees represented in this interview cycle. There is also an underlying acknowledgement that the Cowboys' defense must evolve to complement the offense, not exist in isolation. For years, the expectation was that talent alone would carry the unit through critical moments. Now, the focus appears to be shifting toward structure and situational excellence. Third downs, red zone possessions, and late-game adjustments are areas where coaching impact is magnified. And those are precisely the moments that separate good defenses from great ones. Another important factor is staff construction beyond the coordinator role. Some of the candidates being discussed have the versatility to fit into different roles if they are not selected as the primary play caller. That matters because it opens the door to building a cohesive defensive staff, rather than a collection of disconnected voices. Continuity and communication are often overlooked, but they are essential for young players developing within complex schemes. This is where the broader league movement comes into play. Coaches who have recently held coordinator roles may find themselves available again, not because they failed, but because circumstances shifted around them. Those situations create opportunities for teams willing to look deeper than surface-level narratives. The Cowboys appear to be doing exactly that, exploring how each candidate could contribute within a larger defensive vision rather than judging them solely by their most recent title. At the same time, patience does not eliminate pressure. Every day that passes brings new developments across the league, and rival teams are not waiting around when a respected defensive mind becomes available. Conversations happen quickly. That reality fuels speculation about why certain names have not yet been formally brought into the Cowboys interview process. Sometimes the answer is strategic, sometimes it is logistical, and sometimes it is simply about timing. The situation with Brian Flores remains a perfect example of that tension. His reputation alone demands attention, and his approach aligns with many of the traits Dallas seems to value, yet his career trajectory suggests he is selective about his next move. That creates a delicate balance. Do you move aggressively and risk misalignment, or do you wait and risk missing the window entirely? These are the types of decisions that define front offices just as much as draft picks do. What cannot be ignored is how different this process feels compared to previous cycles. There is less noise about quick fixes and more discussion about sustainability. There is also a noticeable absence of panic, even as fans debate every rumor and potential hire. That calm suggests confidence in the evaluation framework, even if the final decision has not yet been made. From a player perspective, this matters too. Defensive leaders in the locker room will eventually have to buy into whatever system is installed. Coaches who communicate clearly and adapt to personnel strengths tend to earn trust faster. The candidates being considered generally have reputations for teaching and development, which is critical for a roster that blends veteran presence with younger talent still finding its footing. All of this unfolds against the backdrop of an NFC that is becoming increasingly competitive. Division rivals are not just reloading, they are redefining themselves. Coaching hires now are about more than matching up next season. They are about building an identity that can survive roster turnover and remain competitive year after year. Dallas is clearly aware of that, and it explains why this search feels so thorough. As the interviews continue and names eventually start to fall away, the conversation will shift from possibilities to expectations. Whoever earns this role will inherit both opportunity and scrutiny. The foundation is there, the talent is there, and the margin for error is smaller than ever. The Cowboys are not just choosing a defensive coordinator, they are choosing a direction. And every move in this process reflects how seriously they are taking that responsibility. As this search continues, the Cowboys remain in an evaluative phase that feels deliberate rather than indecisive. Each interview builds toward a clearer understanding of what the defense needs to become, not just next season, but over the next several years. The pieces are still moving. The board is not yet set, and Dallas is continuing to gather information, weigh options, and shape a vision that reflects both urgency and long-term thinking. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys are reportedly on the verge of completing what could be described as the most monumental signing in league history. Star wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Sources close to the organization suggest that the team is pulling out all the stops, aiming not only to bolster their offense but to redefine the expectations of what a single-player acquisition can mean for a franchise. While official confirmation remains pending, insiders claim that negotiations have been intense but promising, hinting that Hill's arrival could transform the Cowboys into an offensive juggernaut unlike anything the NFL has ever seen. The speculation alone has sent fans and analysts into a frenzy. Tyreek Hill, known for his game-breaking speed and uncanny ability to find open space, has been one of the most sought-after talents in recent years. Pairing him with Dallas' dynamic offensive scheme could create a combination that opponents will struggle to contain. Rumors suggest that team management sees Hill not just as a playmaker, but as a centerpiece capable of drawing defensive focus and opening opportunities for the entire roster. The potential synergy with the Cowboys quarterback has been a topic of hot debate among pundits, with many predicting that even a modest improvement in timing and chemistry could yield record-breaking performances. Financially, the deal reportedly pushes the boundaries of what teams have been willing to invest in a single player, signaling the Cowboys' intent to make a bold statement on and off the field. Industry insiders are weighing the impact of this potential contract, speculating that it could redefine the market for elite receivers and force other franchises into reconsidering their long-term strategies. Meanwhile, fans have taken to social media in droves, sharing excitement, disbelief, and wild predictions about what the Hill Cowboys partnership could mean for the league's competitive balance. Whether the deal comes to fruition remains unconfirmed. But one thing is clear, the NFL is buzzing like never before. If Tyreek Hill does indeed join the Cowboys, the ripple effects could be felt across every locker room, broadcast booth, and fantasy football league, reshaping the landscape of the sport for years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.